Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We have one of the new part 2 EZAs in Future Gohan, a unit that I've only recently just pulled, finishing out my last two summons, my rotation on the Vegito Blue banner. So no dupes. I've already started link leveling him, but not quite level 10 links just yet. You can see, still very low. No dupes, nothing. So if this guy impresses me, then he's definitely good, because we're literally working off the bare minimum. Only have the Beastless Gohan 200 to run him off of, which is a very good category. The Hybrid Saiyans and the superheroes, it's a very good category, right? Of course, we've got the Trunks in there, who he works pretty well with, and we've also got Mai in there as well, because she's a pretty decent support unit and has a lot of dodge, especially if you go for a full dodge build. And we can actually get Cold Judgment if we do actually put her next to Mai, or put him next to Mai. And then what do we lose if we don't? So we lose about 27k defense. We're on 130. Next to mine, we've got 157k. We have a 359k attack stat turn 1. And as I said, we've got our Future Saga category ally in Trunks. To be fair, so is Vegeta and Trunks as well. And also, we need a Trunks unit, which LR Vegeta and Trunks does count for. So one good thing is, you don't have to depend on this guy getting going, even though he's still a solid EZA. Vegeta and Trunks is also a very good option, who can be a slot 1 unit next to this guy. So there is that. But don't forget, Mai is also giving Gohan support, so his stats are a little bit inflated right now. Of course, she's giving him like attack and defense plus 50%. But we're starting 5.7 mil. Now again, considering he isn't link level 10, he's 55% in the dupe system, and he's not even transformed into Super Saiyan yet. This is base. I don't think that's too bad. He does get a 50% attack and defense raise on Super, so a double there would be very nice. But I can't lie, to me, given the circumstances, not bad. He is getting key plus 1 and attack and defense plus 150%, and an additional attack and defense plus 50% on Super. So he's definitely a slot 2 unit, which, as I said, Vegeta and Trunks does count as the Trunks unit, because the name does of course include Trunks, and so does the EZA Tech Transform in one. But at least Future Gohan does have a slot 1 unit next to him. But definitely a slot 2 or a slot 3 unit, depending on who you're facing and, you know, what units you're using. And one of the biggest things about his base, of course, which he does have in Super Saiyan, is that 58% damage reduction. The only thing is, we can only get it if you go down to 70% HP. So getting a 50% attack and defense raise on Super, the 150 attack and defense at the start of turn, and the 50% attack and defense on Super, that combined with a 58% damage reduction, I'm not gonna lie, he should be tanking fairly well against some of the difficult enemies. You know, I'm not saying every super attack is gonna be like no damage, like 9 damage, 20 damage, double digits, those kind of things. But I think the majority of basics, even in base, like this isn't the best part of his kit yet. I do believe he should be able to tank quite a lot of the enemies in the game pretty well. So if we take what his defense was on that turn, in fact, we can check his defense now because Mai is off rotation. I've also brought Tech Ultimate Gohan because they do actually link really well together. That could be an option as well. But if we check his stats with just Trunks, so 332k attack stat, 128k defense. If you think about the 50% he gets on Super, you're probably talking along the lines of maybe like 300k defense or close with 58% damage reduction. So yeah, quite a lot of the basics in the game against the harder enemies, he should be okay against in base. Or at least by the time you need to worry about them, you'll be transformed into Super Saiyan. As I said, the only annoying thing is you have to wait until you get down to 70% HP to trigger it. And what is All in a Family going to give us if we get that? Defense plus 17.5%. So realistically, we're not going to have this link up, so I'm actually going to leave him in slot 1. How much defense does he have with Cold Judgment All in the Family? 1795. That's actually really nice. We'll leave him in slot 1. And we'll see what he's putting out without the Mai support. We also, of course, want to lose some HP as well, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Still, 5.33 mil. As I said, considering this is base, he's not even transformed yet, and he's 55%. To me, that's still quite decent. Of course, we're not going to hit any additionals because I didn't put any skill orbs just to see what he's doing, like, raw. And not only that as well, he is also giving Bond of Master and Disciple category allies key plus 2 and attack and defense plus 50%. So if you are hopping into a red zone run or the Shadow Dragon event, this guy can support Vegeta and Trunks with that Bond of Master and Disciple category support, while also having a slot 1 unit next to him and a very good slot 1 unit next to him. Don't forget it works well with that Trunks, who some support from him as well is quite nice. And even if you take the EZA Mai, and kind of coop them up together, you can have a rotation of double support where you're getting Ki +2 attack and defense plus 50%, and as long as they're superclass allies for Mai, another Ki +2 and attack and defense plus 50%. So I do like that he supports. It's unfortunate he does lose it when he transforms, especially because like we've seen Zamasu and Trunks keep and retain their support until you use their active skills. But I guess considering Gohan is giving attack buffs, maybe that is why they do get rid of it. But in base, his support is actually very nice. And again, you can couple it up with my support as well. So we are getting the transformation. He also, by the way, does have a 50% chance to guard when there is a Trunks category ally attacking in the same turn, which, as I said, considering Vegeta and Trunks exist, and so does his EZA, it's actually fairly easy to kind of get that. And then, of course, his transformation conditions did remain the same, which is when HP is 58% or more, which isn't too difficult, when there's an ally whose name includes Trunks on the team starting from the 4th turn. That is a fine HP condition, good turn restriction, or good turn condition, and as I said, you have 2 very solid Trunks units, or a unit that includes Trunks in the LR Vegeta and Trunks as well. So now that we transformed, of course, we now have like Super Saiyan and Golden Warrior. Golden Warrior is a doo-doo link, so we don't really care about that. But we do have Super Saiyan active. I think for now, I'm just gonna... How well does he actually link with them two? He doesn't link too badly. The only reason why you'd want All in the Family and Cold Judgment is because they're defensive links, and the extra like bolster would be very nice. But still, actually no, we can just leave him in slot 2. So he's up to a 465k attack stat, 159k defense. Now his damage reduction is permanent. He just has it. There's no HP condition. He just has the 58% damage reduction, which is a lot nicer than base. And now he'll be stacking attack every time he supers. So every time he supers, where mine being at 55%, so some skill orbs are going to have to go on, even though it's not the best chance, but not having any dupes in him is going to kind of really show, because of course we want him super attacking as much as possible, because not only can he do a bag of damage, but he's now stacking attack. 7.2 mil though. Again, 55%, that's not bad. Considering he's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger with every stack, 7.2 is a good starting point. A very good starting point. I like that. Offensively, this guy's going to be really nice. Like, really nice. He's going to be doing a ton of damage. But this is where dupes would be nice, so you can have like an extra super attacking there, but he is going to be stacking the entire time, consistently getting stronger. He's now up to Ki +3 and attack and defense plus 158%. And now he's gone up to attack and defense plus 58% on super. So again, ideal slot 2, slot 3 unit, but he does have a slot 1 unit that's good for him, which is Vegeta and Trunks. And as I said, he does now get the damage reduction guaranteed, no HP condition, which I'm a big fan of. And then we'll get Ki +1 and attack and defense plus 40% per Bond of Master and Disciple category ally in the same turn. Now, considering his 200% leads are the Part 2 Carnival LR Kids Gohan from the year 8 anniversary, and Goku and the SSJ Goku and Gohan from Golden Week, what, like a year or two ago? And this Gohan, it's actually fairly easy to get those Bond of Master and Disciple category allies in the same turn, and considering there's actually a lot of good ones. Like, whether you rate the category or not, there's some very good units that can go on this team. Even though he gets memed a lot, and he can be caught and be vulnerable depending on the event and, you know, phases, Beastless Gohan is still a shout to use. He just does a lot of damage. His guard is very good in the beginning. If you can hit the additional supers, defensively he's still quite solid. Orange Piccolo, still one of the strongest units in the game. Vegeta and Trunks, very good unit. You have the, of course, LR EZA Gohan, very solid unit. Who else do we have in this list? Movie Heroes Piccolo, of course, very good unit. Very, very good unit. Beerus, I mean, he will get an EZA eventually on Global. He's pretty solid. There's also SSBK in there if you want to go that far. Fizz Piccolo, who, of course, after easing was very good. Again, we have the EZA Tech Transforming Trunks, who, yes, once he gets going, he's actually really good. But he does have to get going first. there's quite a few very decent options. So again, triggering that Bond of Master and Disciple, you know, essentially buff there, getting that key +1 and attacking defense +40% per ally in one turn. It's very easy to do so. It's very easy to do so. But that's a lot of buff to get, considering that's 40% per ally. I know there's only 2, but that's an 80% in total. That's a lot. So we're actually missing out on the extra 40%, but we are getting my support. So instead of 40%, we're getting 50%. So it's not too dissimilar. So we're sitting on a 540k attack stat. Wouldn't pay attention to the defense because he did just get lowered. We also do have Cold Judgment active, but again, it doesn't really matter considering our defense did get lowered. So I will put him in slot 1, just in case Vegeta and Trunks end up doing too much damage. But we do have my support, but we're only getting one of the per category allies buff. 6.8 million, again, don't forget, we're continuously stacking as well. I really do like that shot on his super attack. It's funny how new his animations look to me, and it's literally just because I haven't had this unit ever until like a few days ago. So these animations almost look new to me. He will also launch an additional attack. There's a 50% chance of becoming a super attack when there's an ally whose name includes Trunks. So you're definitely gonna want to bring a Trunks. You don't need to, but it is a massive detriment if you do not bring a Trunks unit with you, or a unit that does include Trunks, just because in the beginning, if you do have a Trunks unit with him in base, you know, you do have a 50% chance to guard. While it has a coin flip chance to trigger and not, it's better to have Trunks there than not. But again, you have two very solid choices for Trunks units, which, as I said, is the Tech Transforming one, the LRG and Trunks. And then when in Super Saiyan, you're going to want, again, even though it's a 50% chance of triggering it, and again, I'm definitely going to want it because I don't have any dupes. Having a Trunks attacking in the same turn to get that additional is huge, because then you, instead of stacking once in a turn, you can stack twice. So there is that. So you're definitely going to want to bring in Trunks rather than not. And as I said, it is very easy to do so, again, especially with the most recent EZA INT Vegeta and Trunks. So again, triggering it, while it seems incredibly specific, or I wouldn't even say restrictive because it's not restrictive. While it does seem incredibly specific, it's very easy to do. Like, you don't have to like completely change your team to fit a Trunks unit on there. So I don't mind that too much. And then of course, he will have a guaranteed super attack when there's an Android or Future Saga category enemy. Now that is very specific. And outside of certain Super Battle Road and ESBR stages, there's not too many events where you're going to be facing Android or Future Saga. However, one thing that's going to give him a bit more longevity, at least with that, is right now, the new Dismal Future of Red Zone is all around androids, but more so Future Saga category enemies. And that is currently looking to be, or have some of the hardest enemies in the game right now. So at least with that currently being the hardest event in the game, and we'll probably have the hardest enemy in the game eventually once we get the final stage, it will give future Gohan a little bit more longevity, because you'll constantly be testing units out against that. And of course, that's what triggers his guaranteed additional. So if you do have dupes in this guy, you're looking at a base super attack, you're looking at a 50% chance of additional super if there's a Trunks or a unit that contains the name Trunks in the turn. That's 2. If you're facing an Android or Future Saga enemy, that's 3. If you have dupes, that is 4 super attacks in total. So not only are you stacking all 4 times and constantly getting stronger each time he super attacks, but that's a lot of damage to do in one turn. So offensively, this future Gohan is looking very good, and it's very easy to trigger all the things you need him to trigger or you want in base and Super Saiyan. The only thing, as I said, with me is with mine being 55%, you know, that hidden potential system additional isn't going to pop all too often, but we are up to 883k attack stat. Defensively, as an estimate after supering, again, that's 58% attack and defense on super, because he does lose the defense effect. I kind of wish he didn't, I'm not going to lie. I kind of wish he kept the defense. Like, he can stack, let him stack, but at least keep some defense for the turn, even if they lowered it, because of course in base he's doing 50 for both. Let him stack, but at least give him 30% on super, just to give him a bit of extra padding. But it's a shame they got rid of his defense completely once he transforms. Up to 8.2 million. There's the 50% chance. So far hasn't triggered once. But yeah, it would have been nice for them to give him some defense on super rather than completely just not give him any after he transforms. Again, even 30 would have been better than nothing. If I had to give an estimate, I mean, you're looking at probably in the realms of, I would say maybe like between 3, maybe 400k defense with 58% damage reduction, which is solid. It's decent, don't get me wrong, it's solid. But there are still going to be enemies in the game that can catch him. There are still going to be enemies in the game where he can get caught slightly. I don't think he would die. Like, I don't think he would get one shot. If your health was like relatively low, then maybe, depending on who it is, like maybe Shadow Dragon Sin, definitely the new Rose and Zamasu might be up there. I still need to see the stats for them. I don't think he would get you killed, but I do think he would take a decent amount of damage. And if you have dupes, at least you have some extra stats in there as well in terms of like how much attack and defense this guy has. But defensively, he doesn't have a whole lot going for him, especially once he transforms. But that 58% damage reduction is massive at helping him tank. I think basics, he's fine. Super attacks, I do feel like he can get caught, but he won't die and he won't get one shot. I don't think there's anything like that. Yeah, because even with both Bond of Master Disciple category allies right now, we only have 159k defense. Again, 58% attack and defense on super, and then 58% damage reduction. Basics, he's going to be fine. I don't think anyone touches him with a basic. In terms of super, again, I feel like he can get caught. But probably not one shot. That's one thing I'm going to have to test in red zone runs and things like that. I don't think he would die from a super. But he would definitely get caught. And that's where that damage reduction comes in. That's where that damage reduction, that 58% damage reduction is going to be crucial. But, I mean, offensively, very nice. Very nice. He can definitely do some damage. And again, with Dismal Future being the most current red zone and where you're constantly going to be testing units because it's looking to have the most difficult enemies in the game, you're always going to be facing an Android or a Future Saga category enemy, so you can have that guaranteed additional. So when we eventually start doing videos in there, he's going to pop off. And also Red Zone Cell Max. There is that as well. Outside of that though, we're going to have to rely on skill orbs giving us hardly any additionals and that 50% for having a Trunks ally in the same turn. Like, I don't think this EZA is like ridiculous. 8.6 is very nice. Hopefully we can finally get that additional super to pop. Because so far we've had the additional, just no super. Maybe? Yes, finally 8.9. So, as I said, this EZA it's not setting the world alight. It's not insane. It's not Zamasu. It's decent. And I'm not gonna lie, I would have to say, is this controversial? I think the tech transform in Trunks is better than him. So, Trunks is, yes, he takes a while to get going. The only aspect I would say that this guy is better than Trunks is once he transforms, of course, Trunks is relying on stacking and building up his passive, which of course you have to wait 4 turns for, and again, you just have to wait for him to naturally stack. So you're just essentially relying on sheer stats. Whereas this guy has the 58% damage reduction once he transforms, and even before, but of course you do need the HP conditions, but once you transform, just like Trunks, and this guy starts stacking, and this is the form you want to get to, you have that guaranteed 58% damage reduction. So even though his defense isn't that high, he has a bunch of damage reduction to cover him. Like, we've seen it with Zamasu with the 50%. Of course, he's stacking as well, which is better. But we've seen it with Zamasu, even when he just transforms, because he has 50% damage reduction, a lot of the time he's fine. As I said, I think most of the enemies in the game, he can tank a super attack fine for. I think the harder hitting enemies, he may take a bit of damage, but he won't get you killed and he won't get you one shot unless you have like barely any health left. So like, that's great, but I feel like Trunks overall is kind of better than him. Only slightly. Only slightly. And the reason why I say that is because Trunks retains his support even though there's no stat buff. He's stacking both attack and defense. Yes, the early turns of Super Saiyan are a little bit risky and techie because Trunks has no coverage apart from just sheer stats, whereas this guy has damage reduction. But once Trunks gets going, which is where you can compare Gohan's attack stat, once that gets going, Trunks has mad amounts of defense. You're looking at least 800k plus. So defensively, for the most part, I think Future Gohan takes it. And then I think overall, I think Trunks, once he gets going, is probably better. Especially because then you can pop the active and get the crit and do a bag of damage. I don't know. I think it's very early to say, but so far I feel like Trunks will be better overall, but that damage reduction is definitely a big help for Gohan. And let's not forget, mine is also at 55%, so it's kind of unfair, but he does look really solid. I do like the look of him, and he does look really solid. His real test is going to become when we take him into Red Zone and Shadow Dragon event and really get to test him out. But he does look very solid. But do let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.